Brian Lewis with MMT Investing, coming to you from Peru. Your Bitcoin spiritual guide, not financial advice. So Bitcoin's doing a big time, uh, you know, cone pattern. We're doing a megaphone here. So I want to take a look at the bull case, the bear case, and then go into the macro, which a lot of people are not talking about. Yeah. So if we just the bull case is pretty straightforward. We have a long-term bull trend line here. We're trying to breach it. So just on the bull side, I mean, we just want to get above this long-term trend and pick up support. And then we have our long-term bubble top here. So if we ran up here, it's around 85 somewhere. And we usually break out of the top a little bit before we come back in. So around 100 is the bull case that I'm looking at. And the bear case here is, as you can see my lines here, we have a megaphone pattern, but it might be setting up into a triangle top reversal. So let's zoom in on this thing a little bit. So our triangle here, and we're just hitting the top right now. As of this moment, we have double tails at the top. And so the bearish case is that we come and we do a triangle breakdown. And the general down move size when you break out of a triangle top is just the height of the triangle to the downside. So something like this, just as an immediate down move if we break out. But if you zoom out a little bit, you can see that these lines totally, they're perfectly lined up with our downtrend that we're already on. So generally when Bitcoin breaks out of like a downtrend wedge, it gets a big bullish run. And this has happened a bunch of times in the last 15 years. But this time I think it's a bit different because every time we've broken out of a wedge in the past, we've had super loose monetary conditions. And I'll go to the EuroDollar future chart and show you what that looks like in the cycle and where we are in the cycle. We're not in the same place in the cycle right now. We're having monetary contractions and interest rates are starting to point down now. It's completely different in the cycle right now. And something that Bitcoin has never done, but it's possible that it does it now. This is a common trend pattern. When you have a downtrend and you break out on top, it's pretty common to, well, I mean, you can just spit out sideways. That happens a lot on a breakout of a downtrend like this, or you can continue the downtrend, and you can get a couple more hits before you break out of it. You can be stuck underneath it. You break out, and then you just continue the downtrend on top for a couple of hits. So that's kind of the look on Bitcoin, and that's my play right now as I'm shorting CoinBase. Let me show you the BITO real quick. So this is a simpler look at the downtrend. So just the general downtrend, and we got a bear flag crash here, and this could be a bear flag as well. Just sort of a simple look. But CoinBase is a special thing on top of just the general Bitcoin trend because 3 of the banks that just collapsed, Signature Bank, Silvergate, and SVB, all 3 are part of Bitcoin transactions from Bitcoin to US dollars. And we saw Coinbase freeze dollar conversions the past couple of days. And so this is a big deal for Coinbase specifically, but the crypto industry in general. If you can't use the big crypto services and convert to dollars, that really cripples their business. And I've heard rumors that like this is an intentional attack on those specific banks in order to, take a shot at Bitcoin from the banking system, which I don't know if that's true. I mean, there's Credit Suisse also and First Republic Bank that are not related to Bitcoin in any way that also went insolvent. And looking for a next bank to go insolvent, I would think this is my best guess for the next one is Ally Financial, because they're also crypto friendly in case that is a real thing. But also like their amount of deposits that are not FDIC insured is extremely high, and their balance sheet is disgusting. They're holding a ton of upside down treasuries, just like the other ones that went insolvent. So that's a look at the banking system and the charts, but let me go to the EuroDollar futures and talk about the inflation cycle. So pretty much the entire existence of Bitcoin has happened at low interest rates. And this is EuroDollar futures, but this completely maps to the Fed funds rate and the set interest rates. But the EuroDollar future chart is more of a forward-looking analysis on the direction of where interest rates are going to go. So Bitcoin, for pretty much its entire existence, has been at low interest rates going sideways, which is super bullish. That's a ton of new money coming into the economy when it's down there doing that. Like a little bit of money comes in when you're going sideways anywhere. Sideways is generally good. Like this down move here is really the only big down move that Bitcoin has run into, and that was COVID. And the COVID crash obviously pulled Bitcoin way down, but it was short. But this time, we could get a real bear market off of high interest rates that lasts a year or two, something like that. And Bitcoin's never actually seen a bear market. So this is for investors in general that have never seen a bear market. Like this could be something shocking. And and for Bitcoin, like everyone, Bitcoin like runs like a god when there's tons of new money flowing. But right now, money's contracting for one. And if you zoom in on the interest rate expectations, the volatility has just gone nuts. We just got a peak, and now we're settling at a lower level. So now the interest rate expectations are pointing down, which is aiming at a recession. And what it looks like on the way down, where recessions and crashes happen is always on the down cycle in this interest rate cycle. And so what it looks like is when you stabilize and go sideways, you're okay, and you can get a bullish run. But the down moves, when you make a down move, that crashes the market. And pretty much after your first down move, you're in a recession. And then you can stabilize, and then the next down move is going to be another crash. And you don't come out of the recession until you stabilize at a bottom. So if we go all the way back down to near zero interest rates, like that's going to be a huge recession, and with several big market crashes. But it's possible that we stabilize up here and just run for a while. So this chart doesn't really predict the future on like what the down cycle is going to look like, but it's really good at predicting where we are in the cycle. And now that we've got this volatile peak here, this is a peak reversal that happens towards the end of the top. Like in the financial crisis, the peak reversal was right at the top. We immediately went into a down crash. Usually there's a little bit of run before it goes down. Like .com, there was like 3 months of runway before it turned over. Sometimes it's longer than that. Sometimes it's closer to the middle. You get like 6 months to a year before it turns down. But this is a huge recession indicator, and the down cycle in interest rates is when the market crashes. The down moves are when the market crashes. The up moves, when you're hiking interest rates, usually the market just kind of goes sideways. But we had enough like big vertical moves here to pull the market down to where it is now. Usually it's not pulling down on the upcycle, but it was pretty aggressive. This is our super aggressive and steep upcycle that we had here. Right, and then I'll show the yield curve at the same time. Another really good indicator that we're kind of headed toward a recession is the yield curve right now is very inverted. Like if you just go below this yellow line a little bit, and you can see this is COVID back here. We just like barely inverted just for a second, but this is a huge inversion. And this is why the banks are in trouble, because they're holding like 10-year treasuries that have close to zero interest on them. And now the interest rate of like the short-term treasuries is up to like 5%. And so the banks are upside down that amount. They can't pay interest on their deposits, and they can't sell them because they're upside down on them. And so this is why the banks are collapsing right now. And that indicates that you're headed for a recession. And now we've got a technical little pop bull flag. And it's not when you're inverted that you have the recession. It's when you go steep back out of here. The recession happens here. And so this is aiming at a recession as well. So we have a recession coming. It just depends like how steep it is and how big the dive is on interest rates, but it's happening now. Like it's starting now. The employment rate hasn't blown up yet. Like that will go, the unemployment rate will go way up, and you'll have big monetary contractions and credit tightening. And so we're just starting to see the beginning of all that stuff. And it could happen anytime from like 1 day to 1 year. Like it could start Monday, it could start next year. But anyway, yeah, that's the look on Bitcoin and how it relates to the credit cycle. And I'm bearish on Bitcoin right now, and you can see the channels. So yeah, these down channels are what I'm looking at, and I think this is an extremely powerful spot to throw a Bitcoin short on. But I'm doing it via shorting CoinBase, because Coinbase has access to the Bitcoin downside and the banking downside at the same time, because these banks that are blowing up are how Coinbase operates in the Bitcoin market. So that's a big short. Also have a short on Tesla. Just as a general, it's just a bubble that I think if we get a market contraction, like you just get a multiplied down move out of this on the backside of the bubble. But we can take a look at the S&P as well. And so the S&P is just in a downtrend now, but see, this whole downtrend here happened during a rate hiking cycle, and then this bullish run right here that is potentially a false breakout happened while the top was flat. So this is the bullish run while the top's flat here, but now interest rates are pointing down, and we have the risk of at any moment a big down move in the interest rate cycle. And when you get that down move, the stock market goes down with it every time. So that's the look at stocks and Bitcoin. They're totally related to the money flows and where we are in the credit cycle. And so yeah, I am super bearish again right now. Like this whole down move surprised me a bit, because the rate hiking cycle usually isn't pulling down this far. It's usually going kind of sideways. But this hiking cycle and this inflation cycle was so strong that it pulled the market down. So we just got pulled down into the spot where the market actually starts going down. So this could be it could be pretty big. If this thing heads all the way back down to zero interest rates, this is going to be monstrous, and I'll be very interested to see how like the Fed and the Treasury respond to that, because they're talking about trying to hold the rates up and fight inflation. But I mean, the Fed does not control those rates. They never have. Like, they just come out with announcements and talk about it. The EuroDollar futures is all of the international bankers and international bond traders basically betting on the future inflation outlook. Like, this chart tells you where inflation actually is relative to all the US dollars across the whole world. Like, what the Fed is doing is just like, oh, we can tell where this chart is going. Let's just like announce where we're going to put the interest rates. But they just follow this chart. Like, the Fed funds rate follows this chart exactly. And that's that. And that's that's where we are in the cycle. And this is a really short top. Like, it wouldn't surprise me at all to stabilize for another, whatever, 3 or 4 months before we start moving down. If you look at the size of the tops on other, like this is the 2018 crash and the COVID crash here, you can see the top stabilized, and we had a bull run here at the top for a while, like a whole year, a little more than a year. And this is the huge bull run after the 2008 financial crisis. We're going sideways near zero. That's monstrous. But these down moves here, 1, 2, 3, those down moves are the financial crisis crashes. This is the Lehman moment, the first crash. This is the first half of it, and then you got the relief rally, boom, and this is the huge waterfall at the end of the financial crisis. It maps exactly to these down moves in the interest rate cycle. So people are saying like the Fed's pivoting, and that's a good thing. The Fed pivoting at the end of the top of a cycle is not a good thing. That is when you head into recession and crashes. Not a good thing. But you can see the hiking cycle here is really gradual, and so this market was even stayed bullish. Like, it wasn't even sideways. It was so gradual of a hiking cycle. But yeah, like you can kind of see what the tops look like. I mean, it might be 6 months kind of at the top. Like this time we got the pivot sort of in the middle of the top, and then it was a more gradual crash. This is the dot-com bust in 2000. We got the reversal, and then we started heading down. But it was like 3 months before it kind of started falling off the cliff. So yeah, we don't know how long it's going to take before the down cycle starts, and we also don't know how low it'll go. Like it could, if it goes quickly to zero, like that's a big deal. If it gradually comes down and only goes down to like 3% interest or something, like halfway down, then we're probably starting a new interest rate increasing cycle. But yeah, we'll have to see what we get. But anyway, that's where we are in the market. And this is conditions that Bitcoin has never run into other than the 2018 crash and the COVID crash that ripped Bitcoin down big time. There's just two little pull downs that Bitcoin's ever really experienced the whole time. And this one might be a real financial crisis or .com sized down move that's possible here. And Bitcoin's never seen that. So that is what's up. Not financial advice. As always, good luck with the trading. And I'm going to be watching this. Going to be watching this top right here like a hawk. This is really interesting. Yeah, it's throwing like the double tails like right at the top here. So careful, or I'm being careful, not advice. But yeah, anyway, good luck and cheers from Peru.